So it seems that former CNN host Don Lemon feels punked by Time magazine for making Donald Trump Person of the Year. And that's sort of getting all this press because some people are mocking Lemon for being, outraged by this pick, and it's really making quite the rounds. Now, it seems each December, I mean, if you are a Time Magazine follower, which I'm really just not, but it seems like each December, Time Magazine names a person of the year, which, or an individual or a group actually, that they deem to have had the greatest influence on the news, global events, whether that's a good reason or a bad reason. I don't know that the title is necessarily all about accomplishments. It's not like the person who has had the most accomplishments who get it. It seems more of the person who simply had an influence on events that past year. Who are past recipients of the honor of Person of the Year? I don't know. I mean, I've heard someone like Hitler got it one year. Is that even true? Like in the 1930s, was Hitler named Person of the Year? Correct me if I'm wrong with that, but I think he was. And so, this year they honored President-elect Donald Trump following his stunning political comeback. I think anybody will agree that's just stunning what he pulled off. And Don Lemon is like, is this a joke? On one of his TikTok lives. He has like a TikTok channel, and he basically took time to task, and he's like, this is a joke. I mean, he didn't say he felt punked, but it seems like he just felt really punked by this, and he questioned the ethics pretty much of celebrating someone who he described as an adjudicated assaulter with multiple felony convictions who is tied to the January 6th Capitol riots and the effort to overturn the 2020 elections. Um, so Don was just like, is this a joke? Did someone just scam us? And he was just really, you know, disbelieving, like, what are you talking about? So I was watching on Sky News Australia, and they were taking a jab at Don Lemon about his outrage about this picking of Trump. And so they were like mocking Don, basically poking fun at him, basically saying, look, I mean, look at your career trajectory, darling, because Don Lemon was once this prominent journalist at CNN, and now he's doing these TikToks streams from his basement. So, the subtext was that Don's outrage is performative and irrelevant because he's doing these TikToks from his basement. And so it's kind of like they were trying to cast Don as being out of touch with the broader discourse about Trump's enduring political significance, you know? And because it's kind of like Trump supporters, have always acknowledged his influence, and it was the detractors who didn't seem to have a clue about, Trump's relevance. And so, Time giving him this honor is for a lot of people, of course, they were going to give him the honor. So this thing with Don being so outraged is getting all this attention because it sort of makes Don look like he's the one who's out of touch. Um, so why did Trump, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I don't really follow Time magazine, and I don't really actually care too much about who they choose as anything at this point because I don't follow them. It's like, but what do you guys think? Do you think Trump deserved Person of the Year? It seems like Time's justification for selecting Trump was to highlight his unparalleled influence on the American political landscape, quite frankly. Excuse me. So, despite facing criminal convictions, assassination attempts, and intense political opposition, we can all agree that this was a comeback to top all comebacks. I mean, it was nothing short of extraordinary the way that Trump checkmated all of his political rivals in this presidential election. Like him or not, I mean, it's extraordinary, right? I think we can all agree with that. And winning the 2024 presidential election has cemented Trump's role as a transformative figure in US politics. I think everybody can agree with that, whether you like him or not, whether you voted for him or not. So Time basically credited Trump for, quote, marshaling a comeback of historic proportions, driving a once in a generation political realignment, reshaping the American presidency, and altering America's role in the world, end quote, right? Trump's ability to rally a loyal base and dominate headlines has demonstrated his unmatched capacity to command attention, a central criterion apparently for the title of Person of the Year from Time magazine. So, you know, there is that. I mean, you don't have to like Trump, you don't have to have voted for Trump, but you can admit that this was a heck of a comeback, and yeah, maybe he kind of deserves it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Trump's influence actually, I think, extends beyond domestic policy, right, and politics. He has reshaped America's global relationships, challenging traditional alliances. I mean, this thing with this BFF with Putin and amplifying nationalist movements worldwide. Hungary and all these other places comes to mind. His resurgence after losing the 2020 election also represents a political narrative few could replicate, regardless of one's opinion of his policies or behavior. I mean, it's you know, he's pulled off something here that is really, it's astounding. So history has shown also that this magazine, Time, they may be doing this just for the controversy because if in fact it's true that, people like Adolf Hitler and Stalin were once people of the year, I mean, clearly they were not named because they were they were Mother Teresa or, that they achieved, world peace. They were named for their undeniable global influence, right? And I think that Trump's selection follows this tradition. It's like shock and awe, but it's not about, kumbaya and, who should be the next pope. They're talking about people who have a global influence, whether you like them or hate them, whether they're Trump, whether they're Hitler, whoever they are, right? His critics like to point to his legal problems and the divisive rhetoric he's become synonymous with, but his ability to dominate the political conversation and inspire a movement, I think definitely solidifies his status as a pivotal figure of 2020, whether you like him or hate him. I mean, again, I'm not a Time magazine person. I could care less. But yeah, this is an interesting person. This is, yeah, I think I think he is the most interesting person this year in the world, actually, you guys. I think his selection underscores the dual nature of this honor from Time is celebrating impact, but not necessarily virtue, I mean, what was virtuous about Hitler, right? Now, back to Don Lemon. So this was about Don Lemon. So I think that Don's emotional reaction, oh my God, am I being punked here? Is this a joke? Is this a scam? Um, it's reflective of widespread disdain among Trump's haters and detractors, right? But it misses the point of the choice of Trump as Person of the Year. I think the title, it seems to me, and do correct me if I'm wrong, but the title doesn't seem to aim to crown heroes necessarily. This isn't about Trump being Batman or anything like that. It's about recognizing people who have shaped the world's narratives for better or for worse, right? For better or for worse, right? Um, for better or for worse, Trump's influence in 2024 was unparalleled. Let's just be honest. And I think it earns him a spot among the most consequential figures of our time, and certainly the most interesting person of the year in 2024. I think, I mean, again, I don't follow Time Magazine's picks. I could care less. But if you bring this to my attention, I would say that this one has been earned, right? Trump is the person of the year. Whether you think that's for good reasons or bad reasons depends on the side you're on. But this idea that Don Lemon feels so scammed and scandalized and punked and, whatever because of this